Namaste to you, nummy yum yums. This is Adam from unThinkMe. This weekend I had a very strange, I'm not going to go into it, it's not necessary, but I had a very synchronistic circumstances, all of which had to do with this sort of challenging or violating my code. So I'm one of these guys who kind of has a personal code, and if you get to know me, especially romantically, you'll see this in action. For me, dating is very much a structure. Relationships are a structure. I've had a pretty painful run at it. I know that's very common in today's world. Codependency seems to be interrelated with the integral movement. We are people of great passion, and we explore things pretty deeply. A lot of times heartbreak is one of our motives, one of the things that kind of gets us into this deep questioning stuff and shadow work stuff. So these things happen that really challenged my code. Good things, actually. They weren't bad things. They were opportunities, and opportunities that I was resistant to. And I was being a jerk in these situations. And I kind of found this key to this whole thing that I've never had this thought before. I've never realized this before. Pretty much my entire life, I have equated sex with trust. They have been the same thing for me, with the result that I am rather moral sexually. I don't hurt people, and I get hurt a lot. I'm not a victim, I recover from the hurt, I get right back up, and I do it again. And so here's some of the stuff that may be familiar to you as code stuff. If I go out to dance and I see an attractive person, I will go up and I'm not particularly shy. I'll go up and ask if they want to dance with me, and we'll dance together. And then if they try to, get romantic with me, like rubbing on me or kissing on me, I will resist that. I won't do it, even though I want to do that, because we're not at that level. So we're not there yet. I don't want to do that. And then we'll go our separate ways, and they'll perhaps dance with someone else. And I'll see this out of the corner of my eye, and it'll make me jealous. It'll bother me. And then they'll kiss that person. They'll rub against that person. And as much as I try to rise above it, I see this structure. I go, okay, I'm being a dork. I still do it. I haven't overcome that yet. So there's some shadow here. There's something here that I'm not facing, right? I don't do casual sex. I don't save sex for marriage, but I only have sex with people that I completely trust, where I would marry them ultimately. That would be the plan if I were having sex with them. I wouldn't be at all suspicious of them. They would cheat on me, or that they would, unreasonably break up with me or do something that would really hurt me. I trust them, or I don't have sex with them. And as I've pointed out, my whole life, the pattern is I get into really big, really deep relationships, not particularly quickly, but out of nowhere, I would say. These aren't coworkers and friends or people that I know already. They tend to just kind of appear. And we do the whole courtship thing, and I explain my whole code. And as we do start entering into physicality, we outline the rules. We agree to the rules, like not in a cheesy way, but just like, hey, if we're going to be together, like, you realize, explicitly that means I have every right to be mad if I see you kissing someone else, right? That's really important to me. That's kind of part of how it works. So I have considered this just how my heart works. I am a mate for lifer. I am monogamous, serial monogamy, or maybe just good old monogamy, because I also say, like, everyone I've ever been in love with, I'm pretty much still in love with. I don't really fall out of love, which is kind of a nightmare pushing, in about halfway through my life here. That means that I'm in love with quite a few people that I'm not in communication with, that don't particularly care to know me, that are with other people and happy with other people. So that's kind of like a sad outcome, it would seem. And meanwhile, I have always had tremendous opportunities to have sex with people. I've always had those opportunities. I've never taken advantage of them. I've never been interested. I turned them away. But I've never really questioned it. I've just said, this is how my heart works. I'm a man of great passion. I am a love addict. I would say that. It was this weekend, multiple things, multiple events, multiple people, involving 3 different crushes, completely disconnected events, that led me to question it for legitimately, like, why am I monogamous? What exactly? Why don't I just have sex with whoever I want? Why do I believe that I want to be in a long-term relationship even though I don't have anyone to do that with right now? I've gotten over the idea that I need someone, that I need that relationship. I'm fine without it, but I do still, desire that. There's a little bit of like longing for it. And so I was bouncing this idea. I've been bouncing it off of people. Like I say, I've been recovering from the 5th example of someone just like being really, really deep and tight with me and betraying me, the whole Celesta Chronicles. Now I'm over that. It's been more than a year. I'm pretty sufficiently over that. I still think about it. I still miss her. I still cry. That's what the last episode of this surreal love thing was about. But I'll probably have a bit of a soft spot for her my whole life. I'll probably feel a little bittersweet about it my whole life. I don't think that that's a lack of having gotten over it. So moving forward now, I'm ready to move forward. And I've been going out, I've been dating, and I've been meeting people. And this is really kind of nailing itself into me. This is kind of really forcing me to reckon with this. The things are lining up in a way that it's like, okay, well, I have to deal with this, because it's easier to do if you're a conventional structure. If you are doing a family thing, you want a family, and you have a job, you're not on drugs, you believe in more money, retire, save for retirement, go on vacations, the normal thing. That makes it pretty easy to not have to question this stuff. But like I tell people, kind of rudely sometimes, if you want to do anything else besides that, besides the nuclear thing, you then have to be very skillful. You have to be good at communicating. You have to be insightful. You have to really understand psychology and sexuality and your emotions just a lot better than someone who's running a structure. And this is a great argument for why those structures exist. Generally, it's like the mainstream religious people that kind of push those structures quite a bit today in America. Of course, it's a dominant theme, and an ongoing battle. And, they're not 100% wrong. A lot of people that don't do those structures, they're kind of miserable, like unconsciously. I don't count myself one of these people. I don't think I'm any more miserable than people that are happily married. I mean, I say the grass is always greener. A lot of my friends who have had kids, it's not like I envy them. I enjoy hanging out with their kids, and I'm glad to put them down at the end of the day and have all my free time. Either way, it's just a grass is greener thing. I don't think it's a thing that you have to do or that you don't have to do if you're an artist or whatever. It's just a choice. And I've chosen not to so far. I don't think I will change my mind. I think I'm pretty much just a lone wolf out here. And thus, it's kind of vestigial to still want to do that true blue relationship structure. I'm texting with a friend, just a disconnected party. I'm kind of explaining how this goes, and it just kind of hits me at once. I say, you know what? I get it now. Sex and trust are not the same thing. After texting that, it really kind of rocked my world. It kind of blew my mind. And that feeling of jealousy that I've had, and that feeling of like annoyance, someone tells me they're in a relationship, and that very night they're kissing me, and I'm like pushing them away, but I want to kiss them. But I know that's not fair to do. I don't kiss people who are in relationships. All of that energy just went away. And that need to reconcile things, to talk to the people in question, to kind of straighten things out, to see them again, it just went just gone. I don't care. Like, because there's plenty of people, and there'll be plenty of time to work all this stuff out. If we want to grow our trust structure together, that's not going anywhere. And if I want to do the sex structure with them, that's available. But it's only when the two are equated, they're fused, they're considered the same thing. This makes it an enormous pressure because it's very hard to find someone you completely trust and also is willing to commit monogamously to you. And this is precisely what makes me so available to people who prey upon that, to people who joyride you. The conventional advice, whether it's that book I recommend, Facing Love Addiction by Pia Mellody, or whether it's, my various therapists that I've had, it's always like, just try some casual stuff. Just someone you're not that crazy about. Just, someone who's just, no big deal. Let's try fooling around. Let's go out on some dates, whatever. I'm like, ew, no. That's so. I look for the perfect person. I choose them. They choose me. We, after really working that out and growing our trust, we then hook up and do all that stuff. It doesn't work out. It blows up in my face. I spend my entire life crying about it in recovery, doing therapy, and I'm a wonderful person because of all this. So good on me. But the work is done, I feel, and I'm ready to cut that out. Now I see the mechanics so clearly. It's that I can just do sexuality with people completely regardless of the trust going on. And that's in its own compartment. I don't trust you. Of course not. I don't trust everyone I'm attracted to. That's ridiculous. And I don't have to do a mental hurdle so that everyone I'm attractive seems trustworthy to me. You see how a person, whether we're talking about sex or marriage, a person would be really eager to, check to let them through with the paperwork. Okay, you're trustworthy. I got you vetted out because you're so passionately interested in them. You're so motivated. You're gonna let a few things slide. You're gonna ignore some red flags. So, not even jokingly, my whole life, I've just changed my mind about this. I've just realized that the way my whole code thing, and the reason why my relationships don't work, and why I'm so frustrating to so many people in this way, and why I get so charged up with shadow energy in the presence of sex, just ordinary old sex. This is entirely because I have not yet differentiated trust and sexuality. There's all these different kinds of love. The kind that I'm calling trust this is for romantic partnering, serious long-term relationships, partnership, where I can trust you. And this is why I think I've correctly identified, if we're using that term, I say the second person relationship with spirit it's not I believe in you, a matter of faith. That's more of a parent-child relationship. You believe in your child. Whether they fulfill that or not, you give them another chance, you give them another chance. That's not partnership. That would be a terrible model for partnership. Hey, I believe in you, police partner, to help me catch the bad guy. Oh, you screwed up? Oh, well, I still believe in you. Let's keep... So faith, belief, that's not my relationship with partners, and it's not my relationship with spirit. Attraction, esteem, I like you, I think you're cool, you have relative value, you've worked a lot on yourself, you're interesting to me. All of and sex appeal. These are these are all just other. This has nothing to do with trust. It has nothing to do with partnership. It's just, I like this about you. You've got to be very careful to keep those kind of separated. Everyone who's smart isn't trustworthy. Everyone who's beautiful isn't trustworthy. Everyone who's kind in one way isn't trustworthy. A huge snag for me. I hope this is helping you guys, because I'm literally this has shattered my worldview. It's so different than how I've ever thought before. And so with spirit, from day to day, it might be beautiful, it might be attractive, it might be ugly, it might be painful. I don't believe in it. It's not a matter of faith. I trust it. It's my partner. I can't leave it. It can't leave me. As long as we're here, the world will be here, I'll be here. Spirit will be here, I'll be here. As spirit, other will be here as spirit. There's no getting around that. So we have to trust each other. We are partners. That is appropriate. Romantically in love. That's where that belongs. And if you want to do that with a person, it's not a problem. You just have to build that trust with them. and you have to watch them for a long time very carefully. And probably before you get there, you're going to spend a lot of time testing, trying people out. So if you deny yourself, if you don't allow yourself to test people, if you're eager to get them past a gate, it's not going to work out so well. You really ought to just allow whatever's flowering to flower and be ready to set it aside. Don't buy into it. Don't commit to it. Don't go all in. That's foolish. That's crazy, because it's not a trust thing. It's an attraction thing. I'm interested in you. And then the appropriate relationship to everyone, right? It's just compassion. That's not for spirit. That's for everyone. Every limited manifest being. I see you. I'm with you. That doesn't mean I trust you. It doesn't mean I believe in you even. It just means we're all in this together, right? So these are all different forms of love. Now, the heart of this thing is, like, for example, in Ayn Rand's conception of love, Ayn Rand, paragon of orange meme, it's you select the best person in the world. That's your lover. You know, they're opposite sex. That's your lover. If you're with someone and someone better comes along, that's your new lover. You switch to them. You work it all out and you switch to them. Whew. And you can read in the story of her life that was a miserable decision and it didn't work out. It's not true. It's bullshit. But I can't deny that the appeal to me, just like you have one baby on a breast nursing, the other baby's crying because it sees that. I want the breast. Well, there's another breast. There you go. Now everyone's happy. But it'll still look over and be like, hey, I don't like that one's drinking milk too. I'm petting a dog. Another dog comes up. I take out my other hand. I pet that dog too. I'm petting both of them. But it sees that I'm petting this one. It goes, argh. Doesn't like that. And I'm the same way. There's a girl wants to kiss me. And she wants to kiss another guy too. I like getting kissed. But you can't kiss that other guy. What's with this? Choosing, selecting. I choose you. I want you. That's so important to my self-esteem. However, that is a thing that you have to build up the trust, because someone can be dishonest about choosing you. And if you're looking for it at first sight, on a first date, at first blush, that is insane. It's insane. You're more likely, you're way more likely than not to be deceived in that case. If you need to be chosen, look for someone who chooses you after years. Someone who's been your friend for a long time, and not out of sexual interest, but just out of coincidence. Then, boy, if that person chooses you, that's a good bet right there. Particularly if they're attractive to each other. Because I wanted that Randian love, I wanted to be perfect for someone. I felt like I do feel like I deserve. I'm worthy of that. To be with someone that I really want. Someone that really wants me. And when I partner with people, it really isn't hard for me to commit to them. And I'm not interested in other people. Like, I'm attracted to other people physically, but that's never been my decision maker. I'm just happy once I've made that decision, I commit to someone, I choose them. I'm happy with them, particularly because that means they choose me too. This is the fallacy, that just because I choose someone and we've said these things, that they feel the same way, that's as enduring as it is in my case. And I do believe that this is a thing that people in this community will relate to. I'm not positive, and I know some of you certainly don't, but I think this is a theme with spiritual people, New Age people, integral people, and I think this is a theme for our generation right now, is you don't go all the way towards, just sexual wildness liberation. I mean, do that in your 20s, I was in rock bands. I get it. I've done all this, I've been present for all of this and just watched it. And it's never really been my thing, but it's fine. That's perfectly fine to do. But just because that's a little bit out there, that's a bit much, that could be health-wise dangerous. It could be just not a good idea in general. You might get hurt. You might have babies, whatever. I think that we tend to recoil too hard to the other side, to too much conservatism. And this is coming out of a very id level, reptilian brain level, need to be chosen. I need to be the one that's chosen. And so we recoil against that, and it just, even if I say, if I'm very liberal and I say, you're free to explore, you're great, I don't mind, that's a beautiful thing. Maybe I secretly kind of like, it bothers me. I don't like to look at it. I feel that jealousy, that I don't get to be that person, and I don't want to, but they do get to they do. It's like watching a bunch of people eat cookies. Like, I don't want to eat cookies, but I wish they wouldn't do that around me. It makes me want to eat cookies. And so that's the kind of conservatism that'll even lead to like homophobia and more kind of serious, the need to limit reproductive rights. You get to have whatever you want. You don't have my code. And then you bake it up into this thing about how, well, it's the natural structure. It's how like life has to be. There's no point to sex unless you're trying to procreate and make. Okay, well, that's like a structure. That's just a structure. There's no basis for that. In fact, it's just one way to do things. It's one way to mobilize. Like a bank is a structure. A birthday is a structure. There's nothing natural about a birthday, about giving people presents because the earth is the same relative position with regard to the sun as it was on the day of your birth. So you're special and you get gifts. Like, no, that's a structure. It could be good. It could be bad. You might like it and find it useful, or you might not. I don't like the birthday structure, and I'm highly suspicious of structures in general. But this whole time, I've subscribed to this monogamy structure, and I desire to be chosen. I desire to be somebody's special someone, and to have the trust developed to the level where I could be quite sure, at least for a while, for years, that they feel the same way, and that I can trust that they feel the same way. But this whole time I've been really trying to force it. It's not a thing you can force. It's a thing that becomes obvious and boring but by repetition, by the fact that it's been so established. It isn't exciting. It's not exciting. The exciting thing is the trick. All of my explosive relationships were very exciting to me. They made me feel very selected and very chosen and very special. And as they terminated, I felt very the opposite of those things. I felt unlivably terrible, unlovable, undesirable garbage. They hate me. I'm the worst thing that ever happened to them. And this whole time I've been telling myself, that's just the noble truths. It's just every attachment creates suffering. There's some truth to that, but it doesn't have to go this particular way. This way is silly. It's because I equate trust with sex. Trust and sex. You have to have one for the other. So I don't want to get too graphic, but just as one other part of another piece of why I kind of had arrived at that conclusion is the intensity that can be created by sexual misconduct, right? Cheating, abuse of a sexual nature. The reason that it's abuse is not because it's sex. The sex might not be good, but that's not the reason why it's so traumatizing. It's the violation of your trust. It's the shattering of your trust. That you feel like you can't trust people, you can't trust being alone, that you don't feel safe in your own body. It's not because the act itself, is the traumatizing agent. It's the power and control, the trust in those cases. And this is one of the most severe crimes that you can do. It's in the top, 5. And so for that reason, I tend to equate the trust and sex. I tend to kind of consider them similar. In relationships, you give a person kind of a maximal amount of power to hurt you because they're not in your family. They can leave you. It's a voluntary choice thing. And it's as close to family as you get. You share everything. You sleep together. You spend your quiet time together, and you count on one another for for esteem needs and for validation and for to feel beautiful and to feel successful. So you really create a lot of need for that person, and trust is maximized. Like if you're doing the full package of a relationship, you have to have that trust, and it's got to be like a long-term sustainable trust. But that is only in the case that that's the structure that you guys are choosing and consenting to run. So, and it literally like hadn't even occurred to me that I could do it any other way besides that. Like, it just seems like that was the thing that I was looking for. To be selected for that degree of trust is like such a tremendous honor, and it's so hallowing. And it's like, as you elevate someone to a sort of goddesshood, you yourself are also placed on like a pedestal to deliver that constant, godness to them that make them feel attractive and wanted and happy with you. It feels like a need, not just a thing that would be awesome if it happened, but it feels like a need because I have a sexual need, and those were bunched together. They were conglomerated. In point of fact, any kind of partnership could be beautiful like that, could be affirming, could be nurturing, work partnership, political activity, war activity together. That's a really deep bond, band people, artists working together, collaborators, just best friends, fishing buddies, these can all be really deep, trusting bonds without any sex. And so often we elevate that sexual thing to the like highest peak of it, or like we imagine that, in a lot of cases. Some people don't, but I do, and a lot of people do. It's setting yourself up for failure, because in the meantime, before that occurs, you'll have opportunities for things that might be nice in the absence of anything else besides that. Most of the really, really smart, really amazing people I know, the most interesting people I know, have been single on and off their whole adult life. They don't settle down. They don't marry. They don't always have explosive relationships. It's one thing or the other. There's a lot of different reasons. I think this is really central to that, though. They want to find the best person, and they want to be selected by that person and co-selected. Well, it just doesn't work that way. That's a thing that kind of falls into place, and there's a whole meantime. And I think the meantime challenges us in the best of cases. That's a welcome challenge for getting there. In order to get there, it's a milestone along the way that you will have to learn how to chill out about that, how to go out there and test people and date people and try people out and get better at recognizing what is a red flag, what is something that is perfectly acceptable, just refining what you need in order to select someone, your requirements. A lot of times you're being unrealistic about the idea that someone who's perfect to you will also find you perfect, especially on a superficial level. If you get talking about, soul stuff, long-term friendship stuff, then it's maybe a little more probable. But that's not exciting. That doesn't come out of nowhere. It's not someone you meet in a bar. Well, you might meet him in a bar originally, but, it's not something that happens over the course of a couple weeks. And so I've been talking specifically about me and people that have my kind of psychology. There's plenty of you out there, the love addict, the codependent, the man of great passion, woman of great passion, people who get their heart broken a lot. John Cusack with the stereo. There's a lot of you. But there's also kind of, there's other sides, there's other types. There's people who can't possibly equate sex with trust. That's that's interesting too. That's more the sex addict type, male or female. It's actually pretty common in males too. In both cases, it's just an inability, a desire for intimacy, emotional intimacy, not sexual, but emotional intimacy that can't be met because of the way that you're approaching it, because of your own insecurity. And maybe that leads to you attaching too tight, like I do, like a love addict. And maybe it means pushing people away, like the sex addict. In either case, it's out of a fear for genuine sharing and realistic partnership, close friendship with close benefits. And so, to wit, do you need to be selected or chosen? Or does the recoil from that, do you not like the idea of being selected or chosen? Do you want to have multiple partners, or do you insist on having one partner? Or is having one partner scary to you? Are you afraid of that commitment? Sexuality, second chakra, is a huge generator of shadow. In this culture, there's a lot of sexual energy and a lot of desire for partnering, to be wanted, to be chosen, to be loved in various ways, and it creates a lot of shadow. And this is subconscious, this is lower chakra stuff. This is subconscious energy having to do with your sense of feeling powerful and attractive and worthy, second and third chakras. So, I've pointed out a couple of times that when you look into the psychology of people who do seriously terrible acts, there's almost always like a history that has something to do with sexuality and being made to feel disgusting or unlovable, or stuff down there, completely disempowered, completely violated. This is the mega shadow generator. And as much as up till this very moment, I think I've resisted it, that this is what sexual liberation is all about. It's not about getting your rocks off. It's about shadow work. You don't have to get your rocks off. You just have to you're free to, but it's all about getting your power back, feeling attractive, feeling wanted, feeling worthy, not having to prove that through any act or through any acquisition, but just knowing you roll, knowing, being romantically in love with the universe and trusting that universe all by itself. You're good like this. Okay, now relationships. What's available to you? Are you resisting it? Does it bother you what's available to you? Are you mad about it? Or do you just take it? Are you accepting of it? You gonna go for it? Make it your problem. Go out there. Give it a chance. Tell them how you feel, how you really, really feel. If you really want to go for it, just express yourself and see what happens. And don't force the situation. Don't insist on anything. Don't stay up all night thinking about it. Just give it a chance. People will surprise you. I can promise you that. Some people will surprise you in good ways. I can't believe that it took this long for me to even recognize this really basic thing, that what has made me kind of romantically unique and weird, and what has led to so much anguish in my life, modeled by my parents. I just acted it out without thinking, without realizing that sexuality, sex, and trust are just completely different categories. Just completely different categories. That's all. Namaste. I hope this has been useful. I think it's really going to do good things for me and hopefully for you as well. Namaste. Yeah. This is a time. Ooh la la. Ooh la la.